Hi all, Steve Kaposi at the Adventure and Camping School in Northeast Thailand, and I just want to continue talking about water. I just want to make a few quick points and important points about water. So first of all, when we talk about water, I only ever hear people talking about water, water and water. But there are two important things. There's water and there's minerals. There's the minerals that come with water, and the body needs those minerals, electrolytes, salts and so forth in the body. The body needs water, of course, as a first step, but it also needs minerals. Cells need minerals to build cell walls and so forth. So it's absolutely crucial if we talk about water and also minerals. And then we need to talk about the types of water and how that can affect your health, especially in survival situations. And excuse me if I just glance down to a few notes. I've got a few cheat sheets here with a few notes so I don't forget to say anything. Now, of course, you do get minerals from the foods you eat. But of course, in a survival situation, you may not be eating at all or as much. Especially if it's hot weather, in a survival situation, you're going to be sweating a lot, you're going to be losing all those vital nutrients. So, that's one factor you need to consider. And this leads me to my first hypothesis. My first hypothesis when it comes to water and survival is, if it's good for sportsmen, it's good in a survival situation. And we all know about sportsmen and sports drinks, they're sweating, but don't forget, sportsmen eat as well. They're elite athletes, they're fit, they eat. But in a survival situation, you may not be eating at all or as much, so that's where it's crucial. You need to regain those electrolytes and minerals back into the body that you're losing. We'll talk about solutions at the end of the video, some possible solutions, but I'm only highlighting these important issues for now. And then we need to talk about rainwater and distilled water. They crop up in survival situations, especially distilled water. There have been TV shows like Dual Survival where they make a still and on an island or something on the beach, distilling seawater, and that's crucial because distilled water is pure water that doesn't have those minerals, so that could have an impact on a health situation, especially in the medium to long term. So that comes to my second hypothesis, and my second hypothesis is that drinking distilled water, and perhaps to a lesser extent, but almost as importantly, rainwater on a medium to long term basis can have potential health impacts because it's those minerals in the water. So now we need to talk about the types of water, just to clarify the mineral content. And for me, as far as water is concerned, there are four main groups of water. And they're listed from the most minerals to the least minerals. You've got groundwater, which has the most minerals. Then surface waters. Then we can talk about rainwater. And lastly, with the least amount of nutrients and minerals, is distilled water. And again, we need to talk about rainwater and distilled water as major groups of water in my mind, that's my opinion, because it crops up in survival situations. Collecting rainwater, which obviously is a great resource, and distilled water is one way that the people out there recommend that you can distill water to get clean drinking water. Now, of course, groundwater has the most minerals. It's from the ground, it absorbs nutrients from the ground, and that's where you get your mineral waters, spring waters, natural spring waters, your bottled waters and so forth, and all those things, as far as I'm concerned, can be grouped into one thing. And for springs, you have mineral springs, which have high mineral content. You can get springs with fairly low mineral contents, fairly fresh water, and they're normally called sweet springs. And you can get soda springs with high salt contents, especially sodium salts, sodium carbonate and stuff like that. But most groundwaters, therefore springs and so forth, will have a high mineral content, and you've got no worries there at all. Now for surface waters, that includes most of our tap waters, our drinking water, potable water and so forth. You do get groundwater supplies for towns and cities, but it's mainly surface waters. Your rivers, dams, your dam rivers make catchment areas and lakes and so forth, ponds. They're all surface waters. They'll have a lesser amount of nutrients and minerals in the water, but it will have some because surface waters pick up, obviously, nutrients and so forth from the ground as it moves along. But not as much as groundwater. Then you have rainwater, a great resource in a survival situation to collect rainwater. Now, in theory, freshly collected, clean, fresh rainwater, especially collected on a nice clean surface, will be the same as distilled water. Pure water, deep mineralised water, no nutrients and so forth. But in theory, most rainwater even is going to pick up stuff from the atmosphere. Assuming you've got no acid rain and so forth, it's still going to pick up dust and nutrients. As soon as rainwater hits the ground, it becomes surface water anyway, and it's going to start picking up those nutrients. But freshly collected rainwater on a nice clean surface, again, may have some nutrients, but not much, or in theory, none at all. Then, as I mentioned, fourth on the list is distilled water. No minerals, that's pure water, demineralised water. Some cracks out there might think, oh, I want pure water and demineralised water to drink, without thinking that you do need those minerals. As I said, it's water and minerals. Minerals are absolutely crucial. There are articles written by doctors who warn against the health effects of long-term consumption of distilled water. But people say, well, you're going to get your minerals from water, the food you eat anyway, which is true. Again, I repeat, in a survival situation, you're not going to be eating those foods, or you're not going to be eating as much, especially in hot weather. You're going to be sweating, just walking around, even looking for water, building shelters in a hot country like here in Thailand, the tropics and so forth. Man, they talk about 3 days without water. You know, if I laid down and did nothing for 3 days, I might make it to 3 days. I couldn't see myself surviving for 1 day. So let's forget about the 3 days without water. Basically, you need water on a daily basis. There's also another rule that I've read. I don't know if it's a scientific fact. If you don't have water, you don't eat, especially fats, proteins, meat. Your body needs water to digest food, but water is your top priority ahead of food, partly for that reason, but your body just needs water. It's as simple as that. You can go for days, apparently weeks without food, but you need the water. So they're just a quick few points I wanted to make about my two hypotheses. If it's good for sportsmen, it's equally or more important in a survival situation. You need to replace those lost electrolytes and minerals in the body. And the next thing is rainwater and distilled water. There could be problems drinking that on a long-term basis. But groundwaters will have the most minerals. Surface water should be okay, but again, if you're sweating a lot, you still may need to add some. And rainwater and distilled water at the bottom of the list might be a concern. And of course, your electrolytes, you know, things like sodium, salt, potassium, calcium, magnesium, chloride and so forth. They're the salts and electrolytes in your body. And I repeat, if you talk about survival, it's water and minerals. You need those minerals. And the last point that I want to make is possible solutions to this. Obviously, you can add salt and consume salt to your foods and water. Could be a good multi-use item to take, not just to add to water, to get salts back into you. If you add to your food, spice up your food, you get in salts that way. It's a disinfectant for wounds, you can clean your teeth and preserve fish and meat and so forth. On a long-term basis, you can preserve it in salt. That's one way to preserve and pickle foods and so forth. You can take electrolyte packets and add electrolytes. You can buy that in shops, add that to water and so forth. Baking soda. Now, it's funny, I've already talked about baking soda in a video online. It's a natural body wash, you can eat it and so forth. I already talked about that, but I only found out recently that if you consume it, that's an electrolyte to add minerals, sodium salt, is sodium bicarbonate back into the bloodstream. But there is a concern also, maybe my last point in this video, is you can overdose on minerals and nutrients and electrolytes. But I think in a real survival situation, if you're not eating much and you're sweating a lot, I don't think you're going to overdose by adding some salt or having an electrolyte drink every now and then, or taking some baking soda or something. But if you're not doing that physical exercise and sweating and sports or whatever, and you keep drinking that stuff, then you can overdose and have high levels of sodium in the blood. So be careful about that. So there are a few quick points about water and minerals. You've got groundwater, surface water, rainwater, distilled water, and be careful about drinking rainwater, clean rainwater and distilled water on a long-term basis. They do have health effects. I think I made all my points. This is an ongoing research project. I hope you found it interesting. Any questions, let me know. If anything's confusing, let me know. But we'll keep researching, we'll keep sharing the information, and I'll see you next time.